Bordeaux Chateau Lafite Rothschild is often called Le Roi des Vins, or the King of Wines. The Lafite estate has been producing wine from this gravelly plateau overlooking the Gironde River since the 1600s, and vintages from the 19th century are still traded today. But of all the vintages produced over the centuries, which are the greatest? In this video, we try to answer that question by finding the top 10 best Lafites of all time. Watch to the end when we reveal which Lafite is the greatest of them all. Along the way, you should pick up some good tips and recommendations for vintages you might have overlooked. So without further ado, let's get to the wines. In 10th position in our list of the greatest ever Lafites, we have the 2019. Sensual and demonstrative from the outset, this is a wine for the lover of the more hedonistic style of Lafite. The 2019 came to market in the summer of 2020 at a refreshingly low price. This was because at the time COVID was roiling financial markets and market sentiment was weak. The 2019 remains great value today. Wine advocate critic William Kelly thinks that the 2019 can rival the 2010 or 2016, and Kelly scores it 100 points. Neil Martin also gives this wine 98 points and calls it marvellous. At current prices, Lafite 2019 has one of the best price to score ratios of any Lafite. If you missed this on release, now is the time to fill this gap in your cellar. Number 9 on our list is the 2022. In pure quality terms, this merits being further up the list, given it's no less than 5 100-point scores. In fact, in average score terms, the 2022 is second only to 2016 amongst all Lafite vintages. Wine advocate William Kelly compares this to the legendary 1953 vintage, and for most critics, Lafite was the wine of the vintage in 2022. We have to score the 2022 down a little bit due to its excessive release price and subsequent price decline. In addition, the 2022 vintage hasn't yet cemented its position in wine connoisseurs' minds as a truly great Bordeaux vintage. But at late 2025 prices, this wine looks like an absolute bargain, with a good 50 to 60 years of aging life ahead of it. Lafite Rothschild outperformed the vintage in 2018 by a significant margin. For this reason, the Lafite 2018 ranks 8th on our all-time greats list. This wine boasts an impressive 4 100-point or potential 100-point scores from leading critics. Wine Advocate calls it simply stunning. The 2018 is famous for its sophisticated and cerebral nature. The 2018 Lafite has the additional advantage of an embossed bottle and special label to commemorate the estate's 150th anniversary. This will make it additionally collectible over the years to come. Currently available on our marketplace below release price, this is another must-own wine for anyone who doesn't currently have it. Drink now or cellar until 2060. Lafite 2016 is a wine that ranks highly both on its own merit and due to the quality of the vintage. In most critics' eyes, 2016 was easily the best vintage of the 2010s, and probably the best vintage since 2010 itself. Lafite 2016 is the highest average scoring wine in our whole database, topped with 100-point scores from Jeb Dunnock, James Suckling and Decanter magazine. Jeb Dunnock believes that only the Mouton Rothschild gets close to Lafite in 2016, which is high praise indeed given how many amazing wines were made in that year. James Suckling goes even further and says that the Lafite 2016 is the greatest Lafite since 1953. Today's price is remarkably low for a wine of this quality, which has almost a decade of aging behind it. The only vintage from the 1990s which makes our list is the fabulous 1996, which comes in at number 6. In 1999, Robert Parker claimed that the 1996 Lafite was the greatest Lafite ever made, bar none. This judgment has been superseded by subsequent vintages, but both Jane Anson and Decanter magazine score the 1996 100 points. Most critics agree that it was the wine of the vintage, and almost everyone agrees now that 1996 was the best Lafite of the 1990s. Neil Martin called the 1996 superb and predicted a drinking window until 2065 when he tasted it in 2023. The wine is still not a horrendous price when you consider its superlative quality, its remaining drinking window and its current maturity. If you can only afford one Lafite from the 1990s, let it be this one. Although a magical wine in its own right, Lafite 2009 gets extra kudos due to the quality of the 2009 vintage, which was, according to Wine Advocate, the best ever in the northern Médoc. Critics have consistently praised Lafite 2009's sheer purity and elegance, contrasting it with the more muscular style of other Pauillacs from the vintage. We can quibble about the high release price and subsequent weak price action, but with very consistent top-notch scores from all serious commentators, this isn't a vintage that any Lafite collector can be without. Prices are not at all unreasonable today for a wine with a decade and a half of aging behind it. Fourth place on our list is the Millennium vintage of 2000. There is something very pleasing about that 2000 number written across the front of the bottle. And the wine gods were generous in giving us a Lafite which more than matched the occasion of the year. Robert Parker has in the past given this wine 100 points, and Neil Martin rates it very highly too. Relatively backward and muscular on release, the Lafite 2000 required a great deal of time to show its true potential. Neil Martin has advised only to approach this wine from 2023 and drink it up until 2060. This wine has seen a lot of consumption over the past few years, but impeccable cases of 6 can still be found on our marketplace. So it isn't too late to add the Millennium 2000 Lafite to your collection if you don't already own it. We start the top 3 Lafites with the increasingly famous 2010, which is one of the most consistently highly scored wines in Lafite's long and illustrious history. Widespread critical acclaim, plus the perception of 2010 as a great Bordeaux vintage, make this wine a worthy holder of top 3 status. For many critics, the Lafite 2010 perfectly captures and epitomises everything that was great about the 2010 vintage. Most notably, the balance between concentration and delicacy. Jane Anson specifically mentions this when awarding it 100 points, and Neil Martin agrees, calling it superb. Boasting no less than 3 100-point scores from major critics, Lafite 2010 is just entering its drinking window. This is a Lafite for the ages, with most commentators giving it a drinking window until 2055 at the earliest. In today's market, cases of 6 in perfect condition can still be acquired at surprisingly reasonable prices. Widely regarded as the best wine of the magnificent 1953 vintage, Lafite 53 is runner-up on our all-time greatest Lafites list. Robert Parker reported in 1998 that he had tasted the 1953 on 3 different occasions with consistent notes, and twice he scored it a perfect 100 points. This wine has genuine legendary status amongst Bordeaux's top collectors, as much for the quality of the vintage as for this particular wine. Contemporary tasting notes consistently rank this wine very highly, with many commentators praising how well it still drinks today. This is not an easy wine to acquire anymore, and you need to be very careful about provenance, but this is certainly a Lafite to track down if you possibly can. Top spot on our list of greatest ever Lafite Rothschilds goes to that most celebrated vintage of all, the 1982. Robert Parker has scored the Lafite 82 100 points on 2 different occasions, and it is also one of Neil Martin's highest ever scoring Lafites. If you think you've missed the boat on this wine, think again. Neil Martin tasted it in 2023 and concluded remarkably that it still needed more time and would only hit its peak between 2025 and 2060. The 1982 Lafite remains a wine for generations and is a very worthy holder of the title of Best Ever Lafite. Sadly, today's prices do reflect its top dog status. The single bottles and even whole cases of 12 in perfect condition can be acquired on the Cru World Wine marketplace. Every lover of Lafite needs to have tried this wine at least once. We had a lot of fun and quite a few arguments ranking the top 10 best ever Lafites. Did you agree with our rankings? And how many of these wines have you tasted yourself? Please let us know in the comments below and do consider dropping a like on the video. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos about the world's greatest fine wines.